One. Okay, hi class. In today's lesson, we are going to go over long division. Okay, we're going to go over the vocabulary first. So we have as our problem 75 divided by 3 is our long division problem. 75 is going to be called our dividend. And the dividend is how much you have all together, and it's going to be the number that you're going to divide. 3 is going to be called our, let me put dividend is 75. Okay, the number 3 is going to be called our divisor. And the divisor is the number you're dividing by. And the divisor is also how many is going to be in that group. So basically, our problem is 75 divided by 3, and that means how many groups of 3 can I make out of 75? And whatever my answer is going to be on top of the box, and that is going to be called the quotient. And the quotient is basically an answer to a division problem. So the quotient is always what we're looking for. Okay, so we're going to start the problem. So basically, we're going to say, how many groups of 3 can I make out of 7? I always start with the first number under the box. So this is where you have to know your multiplication facts. If I didn't know all of my 3's, which you should by now, then I will write down all of my 3's. So how many groups of 3 can I make out of 7? So if I look over here to my multiplication facts of 3's, I would write 3 times 1 all the way to 3 times 12 if I didn't know my facts, but I should know them by now in my head. And I'm going to look at my multiplication facts and see which one comes closest to 7 without going over. And if I look over here, the number that comes close, the answer to my multiplication facts, which is called multiples because the numbers we multiply together are called factors, and the answer we get are called multiples. So if I look at my multiples, the one that comes closest to 7 without going over would be 6. And so I know 3 can go into 7 2 times because 3 times 2 is 6. So the number I multiplied 3 by to get 6 is 2. So I would write 2 on top of the 7. So I know I can make 2 groups of 3 out of 7. So my first step is to divide. My next step would be to multiply, and I'm going to multiply the number I just wrote on top of the box times my divisor. 2 times 3 is 6. And then my next step is to subtract. 7 minus 6 is 1. And my next step would be to bring down the next number beside the 7, which is a 5. And so now this is my new dividend. So what I usually have students do is draw this as a division box, bring down my divisor, and now I'm going to say how many groups of 3 can I make out of 15. So after you subtract and bring down whatever you have left, then you're going to draw that as a division box, and that's your new dividend. So how many groups of 3 can I make out of 15? I'll look over here in my multiplication facts. I look at the multiples. I'm trying to find a number that is closest to 15 without going over, and I find exactly what I'm looking for, 15. So how many groups of 3 can I make out of 15? That would be 5. So now the 5 is going to go on top of the next number on top of the box, which would be the 5. So I'm going to repeat the same steps. I'm going to do 5 times 3 because the next step after I divide is multiply. So I'm going to do 5 times 3 is 15. Next step would be to subtract. 15 minus 15 is 0. I don't have anything to bring down. So what I do, if I think I'm finished, I'm going to ask myself these two questions. Do I have a number above every number in the box? Yes, I do. I have a 2 above the 7. I have a 5 above the 5. Then I'm going to ask myself, is my remainder smaller than my divisor? My remainder is 0. So is 0 smaller than my divisor, which is a 3? Yes, 0 is smaller than 3. So now I know I am finished, and all I have to do last is check my problem. And to check my problem, and I'm going to change the color to red. To check my problem, all I have to do is multiply. I'm going to multiply the divisor times the quotient. So I'm going to multiply my answer. I got 25 times the divisor, which is 3. And when I multiply those two numbers together, I should get 75, the dividend. If I do not get 75 as my answer, I know I've done something wrong and I need to go back and check my steps again. So I'm going to multiply. 3 times 5 is 15. I write down my 5, carry my 1 on top of my 2. And then I'm going to multiply 3 times 2 is 6 plus 1 is 7, and that is the same answer as my dividend, so I know my problem is correct. Okay, I'm going to go over this quickly. Review. When we divide first, then we multiply, then we subtract, then we bring down, and we repeat those steps until we're finished with the problem. So first I'm going to divide. How many times can 3 go into 7? 2 times, because I looked over here and found my answer. 3 times 2 is 6. That's when I multiplied. Sometimes my students put a multiplication sign right here to remember that as soon as they find an answer to go in the quotient area, they multiply that by the divisor to get the answer for the multiplying step. So 3 times 2 is 6. After I multiply, I subtract the numbers that I just put that answer under. So 7 minus 6 is 1. After I subtract, I bring down the next number in my divisor. The next number is the 5, so I bring that down. And now 15 is my new dividend. So now I'm going to see how many times 3 can go into 15. 3 goes into 15. If I look over here, 5 times. So I'll put the 5 above the 5. Then I repeat the same step. I multiply, subtract, bring down. 5 times 3, 15. 15 minus 15, 0. I ask myself two questions. Do I have a number above every number in the box? Yes, I do. And is my remainder smaller than my divisor? Yes, it is. So now I go over here and check. I always multiply my quotient times the divisor, and my answer should be the dividend, and I got it correct. So for homework, I want you to do these two division problems that I'm going to show you. Okay, for homework class, I want you to complete these two problems that are in green. I want you to do 285 divided by 5, and I want you to do 320 divided by 10, and I want you to check both of those problems. So for homework on a sheet of paper, divide these two problems just like I've demonstrated in the video, and show me where you check both of those problems and you know they're correct. Okay, I will see you in class in the morning. Good luck on your homework.